Okay, this is the third time I've done this. It's been a really sort of strange rainy day. It's rain, then it's sun, and then it's been dark. So yeah, we'll just see how we go. I'm sure most people are already busy getting on with their lives, so it's quite an opportune time to do this. I'm just going to show a few vinyl finds, and also I'm going to talk a little bit about some records I forgot I had. Just clearing some shelves out the other day, and like, oh, surprise, surprise! I didn't realise I had that. Some records you get rid of, don't you? And some records you just genuinely forget. You can swear that you've got to get it one day, and then you've already got it. Anyway, let's just crack up. Just move this out of the way, and just a few bits. Some things have been on Instagram, some things have not. This is a copy of Aretha Franklin's Amazing Grace. Not something I've seen before. I don't, not around the shops I frequent. Nice double. I love the picture on the back. Fantastic. In a way, I think I'd have preferred that as the front. Anyway, I've yet to hear any of this. I sampled a little bit because she covers Holy Holy, Marvin Gaye, of course, from What's Going On. And apparently there was a film released last year. John, 6-inch pianist, was telling me. Fantastic. And it's supposed to be really fantastic, of this very, very gig. I say it's a gig, it's like a church thing, really. But yeah, she kicks off the whole set with Holy Holy in the film. And I can see why. I mean, it's just an amazing track. And the way they build it up in this is what you'd expect from music. It's up there, it's lively, it's emotive. Not everyone's cup of tea, of course. And I can take and leave some of it, I must be honest. But it says my connection is unstable. So we've had a lot of storms, and we're just at the tail end of the storm. So maybe that this cuts off. If it does, I apologise. There's nothing I can do about it. Whoever's here, if you want to say hello, would be great. Now, if this was a UK copy, as is always the case in these records, it would be worth a lot more than the US copy. However, this is pressed just superbly. It's so clear, and every time I see her stuff, I pick it up. I mean, she is obviously famous for not only dying young, but being a superb musician. And the quality of her stuff is probably unsurpassed. Such a shame. I mean, if she'd have lived, how much more she could have achieved, how much more she could have done. Jacqueline du Pré. If you see any of her stuff, pick it up. UK, you find stuff cheap like this one. Her stuff is going up in value all the time, actually. It's getting harder to get. You can get represses of things, later editions. Yeah, great record. And she covers. She's got Schumann on here, Mendelssohn, Bach, Bruck, the usual crew, That nice thing. Yeah, I came across an interesting selection. Well, interesting to me anyway. This isn't something I've seen very often. Susie and the Banshees, Kiss in the Dream House. No, I haven't heard it yet. You'd probably assume that I've heard all this stuff before. I haven't heard it all before. There's so many things you listen to, down the years. I've heard earlier tracks and some of her singles, but I haven't heard this particular one. This is a promo, 1984, I believe. Yeah, but I do love that sound. Sometimes I find the new wave sound a little bit kind of disconcerting in a way. it's like it's a bit too hollow sounding sometimes, and the production doesn't always do it for me. I have to be in the mood. But once I'm in the mood, you kind of have to play one after another, really. And I'm sure that this is going to have some good stuff on it. I do not know if this is supposed to be a great album or not. I mean, it's all relative, isn't it? It's all a matter of opinion, really. But it's a nice thing to find, and I've never seen a promo. You see it in America all the time, don't you? Everyone's showing promos. They're just 10 a penny over there. It's hard to find them over here. This also was in the same bunch. The Association. The first. With Vienna. Again, it's one of those. I mean, he had a marvelous voice. He had a wide range. The main singer, name escaping me. Everyone knows him. Yeah, I've had Sulk and other stuff, but I've never heard this, and really quite interesting. It's not a 5-star record, but it is a very good new wave album, and they certainly kicked off in style with this. As I say, his voice is the thing that makes it really. It has that kind of emotive and soaring quality. It's almost classical in range at times. He's a very good tenor voice. Superb. There's some interesting titles on here. The Affectionate Punch, of course, is it's a nice little title. Logan Time, what is all that about? A Matter of Gender, Even Dogs in the Wild, Would I, ... bounce back. Hello, Ben, how are you? You'll have to let me know, Ben. It's been on my mind. You'll have to let me know when you've put stuff on Facebook, because I thought I was a friend with you on Facebook, but I can't seem to find you, and it'd be really, really good to see what's going on, with the stuff you've picked up, because that sounded amazing last week. This stuff just pales in comparison. Although I did have a couple of nice finds. But these are all completely random. These are genuine finds, These aren't, I went online and I found something which was there for all to see. The whole world could see it. This is stuff, you just got to come across and go, what? This being a case in point. Put it on Instagram. This part is also part of that same little collection. Dread of the Controls, Mikey Dread. This is Warrior Styley with Israel Styley. IZ Tribes on the B-side, which I think is a better track. But, yeah, fantastic. This sounds so good. I was saying to John, 6-inch pianist, I'm really getting into the dub sound lately. And this is fantastic. And no one had seen this cover before. I assumed it was quite a common thing, but it's not. It's got a little bit of wear here, as you expect. With a record, I was, when I pulled it out, it was tentative, it's like you're just imagining, as John says, reggae mint. But yeah, great. It is actually in mint condition, and it sounds superb. And I love that kind of. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. I want to make sure I spoke to you about it beforehand, and then I might be able to find your post or something on there. I'm assuming you're in the vinyl community pages. But yeah, this is great. I just love that dub sound when they put the effects and they keep adding the echoes and stuff, and the reverb, just brilliant. To me, it just has something about it. I prefer that. It's kind of experimental, exploratory kind of sound, although it sort of goes nowhere. It retains the same sort of rhythm and beat throughout, and yet it still seems to take you somewhere. It's like it's great. It's like I used to say about Soft Machine. It's music for the mind and music for the body. So something you can kind of groove along to, but it also takes you elsewhere. Mikey Dread, Warrior Styley. Now, this was also in the same collection. Now, I had no idea who this is. I thought, well, this looks interesting. It's year 2000. It's I didn't even take this out because It was just like, well, here's a bunch of records, and I was just looking through them, just, I'll have that, I'll have that, I'll have that, you know. But it does look really interesting. It's actually quite hard to find, as a lot of these, this is from 2000, those records of that period are. A nice double album. It's a kind of indie rock thing, but not a bad sort of cheesy one. It's actually a very good sounding record. I haven't heard all of it, just sampled a few bits, you know. But a nice find. I like to find stuff that kind of opens your mind up a little bit, you know, in terms of, oh, I'll give it a go. I like to try and give things a go because a lot of the time music surprises you, albums surprise you. And I'm sure there are people who know this record. I imagine John will know it. I imagine, goodness, oh, my brain. So will also know it. But anyway, yeah, it's a nice little find. And it's such perfect condition. I'm not all about condition, but you know, sometimes it's nice. If this was tatty, I would have just left it probably. Yeah, I picked up some sort of odd stuff of late. When I say odd, I was looking at this and I thought, oh, fantastic. Because Salty, the conductor, his big box set of the Rin Cycle is the one that everyone wants. It's supposed to be the pinnacle, you know. This is part of it, of course. But, you know, when I opened, I mean, it's really heavy. When I opened it up, there's actually also the Ride of the Valkyries in here as well from another box set. So there's like 7 LPs crammed in here. You need a good clean. I just picked it up as well. Well, if I clean it, I want to hear what it sounds like. I've got 3 or 4 other versions, which are also renowned, but not as highly renowned. So if I were going to give it a go, I'd like to compare. You know, I can hold my own against people like Robert Sounds Strange and go, yeah, you know, I know what you mean. Yes, I agree. Yes, I understand. I'm kind of on the same page. I've been into sort of classical music on and off down the years, but I do prefer modern classical. I don't. Well, I say that I do like some, you know, some of the greats, of course, and you just can't top some of those old pieces by Mozart and whatnot, really famous ones. But for me, you know, I like the kind of slightly more, what's the word? I say challenging aspect of modern stuff. I mean, some of it is just drivel, some of it's just trying too hard. But this is where things started to change, really, and things became a little bit deeper and darker, a bit more intense. And you know, it's not for everyone's ears, and it's not for everyday listening, I don't think. But it's definitely something which I'm kind of glad I've picked up. Well, that's very good. Oh, you got the Rounder label, yeah, that's not so easy to come by. Yeah, not so easy. But anyway, yeah, the First Spirit. Did I have a copy of that? Sure, I had a copy of that. I don't know what happened to it. Some of these things I've got Buckley's second. But I haven't got Spirit's debut anymore, I'm sure. A few interesting. Yeah. It's really good to see. You do have fantastic taste, Ben, I must say. See, I'm showing records here feeling a bit like, oh my goodness, Ben's here. He's going to be thinking, what the heck is he showing? I'm not interested in this crud out. I'm showing all sorts of crud that you're going to go, oh my goodness. But anyway. Yeah, I picked up all sorts of bits and bobs. Last week I showed a Mahler Bernstein DVD box set, which I've never seen on Deutsche Grammophon. Never seen it. And then weirdly, in a different shop, I found the Mozart Symphonies box set. It's a really nice little find. And there's a few other things as well on the Deutsche Grammophon. You know, you never see that stuff. And it's always expensive if you want to buy them new, generally. Very expensive. I mean, the Mahler one's about 50 quid. So when I see it, I think, well, thank you very much. Got a whole stack of DVDs and things like Nick Cave, which you just never see, you know. And this, for example, this was for film. This is a 2,000 limited edition copy with a book, and there's cards and everything. 20,000 days on it. I mean, to find this in a charity shop, I mean, in perfect condition, it's fantastic. And there's a whole, as I say, there's a bunch of others. I've got it somewhere, stuff all over the place. Yeah, these other Nick Cave ones. I mean, I'm not a Nick Cave fan. I'm really not. I just think I don't. Some people love all the story aspect of things like Tom Waits. I can't get into it all the time. I find some of the murder ballad stuff. It's all right. I mean, it's not for me. I just don't connect with it at all. However, having these things will kind of test me. I'm definitely going to give them a spin because it'll maybe give a different aspect, different angle to it, and may make me go, oh, where have you been all my life? You know, it may click and connect. But otherwise, I mean, they're probably going to be sold. This will probably be sold. And also, what was quite a nice little find was Heimer, a film by Sigur Rós. I don't know if you pronounce it like that, probably not. Now, I like their acoustic album more than any of our electric stuff. I think they should just stay acoustic because it just has something more to it. It's like that kind of Icelandic folk sound. It has a kind of earthiness and but also a kind of an air. It's an airiness. Airiness. It's difficult to describe. When it's electric, they kind of maybe get bogged down sometimes in a bit of feedback, and it can sound a little bit, you know what's coming. And when they stripped it back to acoustic, it just took it to another level for me. I'm hoping, because this is kind of like a tour thing, there's different stuff going on here. I'm hoping there's some acoustic stuff going on. It'll be interesting to find out. And also, it's just full of shots of Iceland, and there's a little tour of that country, and you know, it's always a fascinating place. It's just like another world, really. Not just geographically, but obviously for people who live there, very different. And you know, let's face it, we must have all loved it when they're playing the football and everyone was doing that great big Viking clap thing, or whatever it's called. Fantastic. It must have been so off-putting for the other players, the other teams playing Iceland. They're trying to adopt it themselves, but it's like, it must have really put the through. But anyway, yeah, so that's a nice little find. I don't normally show DVDs and stuff, but I think sometimes it's good to actually kind of listen and watch, you know. It just gives you a different angle. Right, I'm going to just show a few more bits now. Again, you guys are like, why? This is Stephen Micah's Twilight Fields, and the reason I'm showing this, there's been a few ECM videos and stuff of late, and this kind of stuff. But this is actually, I think this is a pretty cheap one. You know, it's not going to cost you more than 15 quid, maybe 20 quid, I don't know. But yes, it's a lovely, lovely record. I mean, it says he's composed and played by him Flower Pots. There you go. He's playing Flower Pots. But the sound is, it's majestic. That cover is just perfect for it. It's really majestic. He's not just playing it. There's a Japanese bamboo flute and Egyptian reed flute, and also a hammered dulcimer, which, you know, I love the sound of the dulcimer. This is a lovely record. It's not, you know, like a new age meditation record. It's not going to like switch you off at all. It's actually a really absorbing and engaging listen. It's probably one of his most famous, well, I say famous, for the few who know, the most, one of his better known ones to the few who know. But yeah, lovely, lovely record, and I recommend seeking that out. It's not, as I say, it's not going to just switch you off. This is going to really draw you in. And the tracks are all different. They don't all just sound like one thing right from the start all the way through. It's a fantastic little album, though. This equally is a great little record. Now, I'm sure it's been shown before a number of times, And it's pretty cheap, as this is actually a very early reissue. The original cover was totally different. This is a fantastic little record. There they are. They're just a 3-piece. And it's kind of jazz rock. And it's a bit like East of Eden in places. It's so tight. And it's so, I mean, they're just, but because it's just the 3 instruments and there's no vocals on this, they're just brilliant. All the pieces are short. There's nothing kind of just rambling on or anything. They keep it really stripped to the bone. And it's marvelous, marvelous stuff. They also did another album, which is kind of like a boring, plodding blues thing. It's like nothing like this. But this is tight and interesting and it's great stuff. It's really, I think anyone who knows it, who hears it, would agree. But it's kind of overlooked. You know, it's one of those. It's in the background of things. People think, oh well, it's jazz, but it's kind of a bit like jazz, a bit like bits of Sweet Slag, and you know, not. Yeah, there's a kind of a slightly freer element to this in places, but only in places. I mean, mainly it's just really tight and short and dynamic. It's a really dynamic album. I mean, it's just, and the stops and the starts and stuff in the music is really good. But as I say, there's nothing long on here at all. Nothing. Just a very, very good album. Highly recommended. Back Door. I don't think it's just called Back Door. It's only 72, I think. Great little record if you don't know it. I've got a few people watching. Whoever's here, say hello. That would be good. That would make me stay on longer. Otherwise, this is probably going to be fairly short. It was similar ilk to the Stephen Micus thing. These are records I forgot I had. This one, yeah, I forgot I had this. I was confusing it with another one in Into the Light. This is Keith Jarrett's Invocations and The Moth and the Flame. There's the guy. You know, hey, look at me. No, The Moth and the Flame doesn't do it for me at all. I'm probably going to get people saying, what are you talking about? You know nothing. It's just all piano. But what does do it is side 1 and side 2, the Invocations. It's played on pipe organ and soprano sax. And it just sounds amazing. It's mellow sounding. But again, it's like a kind of lot of modern classical things. It just takes you places. There's kind of echoing and reverberation, and it's not just 2 instruments just playing basically. You're building up waves of sound, and brilliant. I just prefer this to his piano stuff. You know, it doesn't really do it for me. But this kind of stuff, it really does. Again, it's a fairly cheap one. It's not something you're going to have to fork out watts for. But I recommend, especially along with that Stephen Micus, giving this a listen. Invocations, they're just called 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th to 7th. Although they have got bracketed things. Yeah, that is a great album. Again, very interesting and worth checking out. Definitely worth your time. Another album I was trying to locate it for ages and ages and ages. I think, did I have that? And I was confusing it with like Back to the Blues or something. Back on the Streets, Gary Moore. I mean, can anyone ever in the history of the world top Parisian Walkways, that note? I saw Gary Moore live, and you know, everyone was waiting for him to sustain that note, and he kept it going and going. But you just wanted it to go on longer and longer. You know, you want him to hold that note for 10 minutes before it comes back into the track. And of course, it's Phil Lynott. He actually wrote a number of the tracks on here. He wrote 3 of the 8 tracks, Don't Believe a Word, Fanatical Fascists, and Parisian Walkways. And that, I mean, let's face it, it's just up there, isn't it? It's one of those songs. It's a bit like Baker Street by Jerry Rafferty. It's a timeless classic. It doesn't matter what anyone thinks, whether it's just a very, very good song all the way through. It's incredibly well crafted, and lyrically and musically, it's interesting. But this album, of course, has got some rocking stuff, as you expect. But yeah, I kind of it's one of those records I forgot I had. Another record I forgot I had. I got a whole bunch of punk stuff a few years ago from someone, and could have sworn I had this, but it was one of those. It slipped behind. You know what it's like, and they're all racked up, and it slipped behind, so I could never see it. And I thought, oh, maybe I didn't have it, or maybe I imagined it, or maybe I got rid of it in one of my big purges, But let's face it, Stiff Little Fingers, their first album, absolutely top class. This is live. It's called Hanks, because he keeps saying Hanks instead of Thanks. I mean, look at that track listing. This was when they were just great. I mean, I've got one of our later albums. I don't like it. It's too. They didn't keep that kind of intense sound which they had to begin with, and they went a little bit more poppier, sort of cod reggae moments, that kind of stuff. But this, I mean, just a great record from start to finish. Johnny Was is on here. It's 10 minutes long. Brilliant stuff. And another live record, which is of a similar ilk, UK Subs Live. Again, just another good, solid live punk album. I mean, again, look at that track listing. Anyone who knows this stuff, you can't go wrong with that. You just can't go wrong with that. There's some brilliant stuff on there. And they just play it all as you expect, breakneck pace, just hit the floor kind of thing, and just keep going. And it was just fantastic stuff. It does say this album is offensive. This one, actually, this one does come with a 12-inch bonus tracks on that as well. And, they're just tracks that could have been on the album any day. Solid gold. Right, I'm not going to do much more here. I'm going to show a few, if I can remember right, a few singles I picked up, because I know that everyone loves it when I do that. This is Lloyd Terrell's Lulu Returns, a follow-up, of course, to Bang Bang Lulu. Yeah, nice little find. This was a nice find. This was a very nice find. On Blue Beat, this is Jamaica Greatest, Here Comes the Bride. It's actually Prince Buster's All-Stars under a different name. And it's Burke's Law, which I think is a better side. Side A is weird. It's like it's nothing like a ska tune you're expecting at all. It's a bit odd, actually. It's almost like it reminds me of Music Hall or something. And this one is a nice little one. You can just about see that. Barbara Brooks, Guns Fever. It's very similar. It's got that sort of singing and soundtrack with Dottie and Bonnie's Don't Do It on the other side. Cool. The most famous ska track of all time. And I've lost it. I've forgotten. This was a nice one. creme de la creme, perhaps. Martha and the Vandellas' first EP. Quite a difficult thing to find. And it's in very nice condition as well. These were all in a little collection. You just come across stuff and think, wow. Someone dropped some records around to me today. They said they were moving house and they're going to clear out, and they just had a few singles and a little box of albums. Now, I went through this. They did say there's probably nothing of any interest to you there at all. So, if you want to take it to a charity shop or something, do that. And I said, yeah, I'll do that. I'm not going to, Anyway, I went through them, and yeah, she was right. So it was just the usual stuff. Johnny Mathis and whatnot, and the singles, and some 80s stuff like Trio, Da Da Da. And the albums had the Beatles Ballads album, and Beatles Blue and Beatles Red, that sort of stuff, and a lot less interesting stuff besides. But they also, in there was this. Now, as soon as I saw this, I thought, fantastic. This is Charger Desperados. And Are You Out There? Now, this is a very rare private press new wave of British heavy metal. Now, what it's doing in there at all, in absolutely perfect condition, the vinyl. I mean, these things regularly, 150. And that was how it was. So out of all that junk, this is why I sift through junk a lot of the time, because you never know. And more often than not, there's something there which is going to be good. But this was quite exceptional. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there because time is marching on. And these videos have been going on for so long. But fortunately, in some ways today, no one's been interacting. So these don't go on forever. And maybe people will watch after I've streamed it. Anyway, it's good to have you along, and enjoy whatever you're doing, and I'll see you all soon.